Today on the Express, we're at the Canadian Military Education Centre in Chilliwack. We are honoring the past and we are celebrating the present. Take a look at my ride. On today's show, Lest We Forget, with the power of the poppy, a play on Vimy Ridge, and a tour of this interactive military museum.
And now it's even more important than ever to tell that story of, the history of Canada.
Plus, a wanderlust of freedoms with West Coast style, the wedding bells, and the good life. See that and more local expression. Welcome to the Express, only on Shaw TV. I'm Johanna Ward. Remembrance Day commemorates the sacrifices of people in all armed conflicts. Now, since most Canadians have never experienced a world war, remembrance becomes a challenging concept. How do you remember something you haven't known? Making the work of this living history museum in Chilliwack more important than ever. A World War II M4 Sherman tank. A World War I trench scene, cleaner of course than the real conditions would have been. A Canadian Airborne Regiment uniform worn during the Cold War. All at the Canadian Military Education Centre, home to one of Canada's largest collections of restored military vehicles and equipment.
We wanted to bring veterans and the students together and try to teach the history of the Canadian military and, what it's done for Canada and Canada's role in some of our world history.
Grant McAvoy, a former middle school teacher, is one of the original founders of this interactive living history museum.
It's heavy.
It's very heavy and hot and sweaty. Imagine being in Afghanistan or something where it's 100 degrees. And you got to wear that all day?
I can't even imagine.
Yeah, so you got 40 pounds of weight on you, not including the other 100 pounds of gear you have with your weapons and all your supplies you'd have to carry on yourself every day. So
you don't even think about that. I mean, the conditions must be so intense.
We never think about that now.
No.
You can take it in your regular classroom, you read the book, you can cover World War II in 1 hour, but when you can actually feel it and touch it, and you can feel the weight of the wool clothes, or you can feel the crampedness of the armored fighting vehicle, and you can actually start to experience what the veterans would have experienced when they were young and they were, fighting for our country. So feeling it is so critical.
There's not a lot of space in here, Grant.
Well, I'm a little guy. Imagine tall Rolly Keith in here with two other guys.
Rolly Keith joined the Reserve Army in Vancouver in 1953. He spent 35 years in the service.
I came in as driving a Sherman tank. And I went on to command tanks, but I also served as a paratrooper for 6.5 years as well, with service in the Canadian Airborne Regiment.
As a young man, he served in the after effects of the Suez War, then returned as an officer and served in Palestine, Egypt, and Lebanon.
And I also served, of course, with the NATO contribution, the brigade in northern Germany. We try to commemorate and teach people about all of Canada's wars and the role that the Canadian military has played in building the type of Canada we have now, the very significant role.
Rolly, like many, lost a lot of friends he served with to armed conflict. He sees Remembrance Day as a time to both honor the past and hope for the future.
We tend to be optimistic and look on the bright side and say that we should just acknowledge this, remember them, honor that service and sacrifice, and try to understand it, and make sure other Canadians understand it as well, and then we move forward hopefully for a more peaceful and a better world.
So World War I, World War II, there was some, the Nazis and you had the Japanese Imperial, they were trying to take over the world. And, if no one would have stopped them, we'd be in a very different place today.
As it said, you have to know the past to understand the present. As the soldiers who served in World War II pass on, the Canadian Military Education Centre wants to make sure their stories don't pass with them.
Now it's even more important than ever to tell that story of, the history of Canada and the role in the 2 world wars, the peacekeeping missions, everything Canada's done. And now we've got a whole new generation of veterans, and it's important to keep everybody, tuned in and learning and supporting our troops all the way around.
The Canadian Military Education Centre is open Friday through Sunday from 10 until 4. It's not government funded. It relies completely on donations and the work of committed volunteers. You're watching The Express, and this, of course, is Veterans Week. Now, Vimy Ridge, it was a turning point in Canada's quest for self-determination. It helped shape our national identity. Up next, see how a local production takes a look at the men and women who fought in that historic battle.
It's not regarded as Canada's greatest achievement, nor was it a fight of strategic importance, but the Battle of Vimy Ridge would eventually help define an entire nation.
When the Canadians took it, it was quite a tour de force for Canada.
The year was 1917, and over 3 days, Canadians fought courageously along the 8-kilometer ridge, but their victory came at a cost. 170,000 young men and women were thrust into a battle that would change their lives forever.
Now we're all together. Hello! Hello!
Now some of those stories are being told in Vimy, a new production put on by the Fire Hall Art Centre. The play examines war and the relationships forged and lost because of it.
It's really about looking at why people might choose to fight, also the damage that it does to people, not just the people that are in the battles, but the people that are at home waiting for them to return.
Just because I'm more fit than you.
Vimy follows the life of Claire Gass, a nurse who makes the tough decision to leave her boyfriend to help the wounded, a decision that would prompt him to enlist.
I'd rather be close and in harm's way than an ocean apart and safe.
To her that he would rather be close to her and know where she is than sitting back in Canada waiting to find out whether she's okay. So he basically decides to go because he's in love with this young woman.
You should stay. You who
What?
shouldn't.
And let you have all the fun?
I think Claire carries a lot of guilt and worry because of that, because he sort of goes thinking he's not going to be in any danger, he's going to be an engineer, and as it turns out, a lot of those guys ended up having to fight and having to be on the front.
Never mind the weather.
The play also looks at the bonds formed during battle, bonds that would help these young men endure the homesickness. Here they sing songs and reminisce about life back home.
Are we downhearted? No!
Those kinds of experiences do bring people together. I mean, there's an incredible bond that happens between people that experience something so intense, and in the play we shows that too.
The hope is to bring the Battle of Vimy Ridge back to life, so to speak, so that a new generation of Canadians can better understand the personal sacrifices of so many who fought for democracy. I'm Tim Chung in Vancouver for The Express.
Vimy is playing at the Fire Hall Arts Centre until November the 19th. You can get ticket information online at firehallartscentre.ca. You're watching The Express, and in honor of Remembrance Day, we'll be talking to a veteran coming up. And in honor of celebrating the present, we're going to get entertainment reporter Erin Sebula's secrets to the good life and see these stories.
That's very, very fitted to her body.
West Coast style, high-end looks for low-end prices.
You can come in and put a look together for not a lot of money, and you go out on the street and you're going to get compliments.
We are strong together. The Wedding Bells, how a vow renewal can change a marriage. You're watching local TV on The Express.